Stop scrolling for just 1 second. What you are about to see has nothing to do with expensive landscapers, complicated planting schedules, or spending every single spring weekend at the nursery, buying the same plants over and over again. I planted these 15 flowers exactly once. One time. And 3 years later, not one of them has stopped blooming. Not a single one. I am talking about flowers that have outlasted droughts, survived brutal winters, and come back stronger every single year without me lifting a finger. If you have ever felt frustrated watching your garden go dull and bare while your neighbor's yard looks like a magazine cover all summer long, this video is going to change everything for you. By the time we get to number 1 on this list, your jaw is going to drop. I am saving the most shocking one for last, and I promise you, you have never heard this story before. So stay with me all the way to the end. Here is the real problem that most gardeners face, and nobody talks about, honestly. You go to the nursery in spring. You spend good money. You plant beautiful flowers. They bloom for a few weeks, and then they are gone. Dead, done. And you do the same thing all over again next year. Year after year, the cycle never ends. More money, more effort, more disappointment. But what if the secret was not planting more, but planting the right ones just once? That is exactly what this channel, Rooted Harvest, is built on. Growing smarter, not harder. And right now, if this sounds like what you have been looking for, hit that subscribe button. Every single week, I drop content that will completely transform the way you think about your garden. All right, let us get into it. Starting at flower number 1. Flower number 1, Catmint Nepeta. Let's kick this off with one that completely changed how I think about garden borders. Catmint. And before you say anything, no, it is not the same as catnip. I know what you are thinking. But here is what makes this plant absolutely extraordinary. Catmint blooms for nearly 2 full months in spring. We are talking about this breathtaking wave of lavender blue flowers that cascades across your garden like a purple waterfall. And then, when most perennials are done for the season and looking tired and spent, you cut it back by about a third. Just a simple trim, nothing complicated. And within weeks, it explodes back into bloom all over again and keeps going right up until the very first frost kills it. So you are essentially getting 2 full bloom seasons out of one plant in a single year. And it does this every single year without fail. The bees go absolutely crazy for it. The butterflies cannot stay away. Deer will not touch it. Rabbits avoid it completely. It is hardy in zones 4 through 8, which covers the overwhelming majority of the United States. I planted catmint 3 years ago along my front walkway, and it is honestly one of the best decisions I have ever made in this garden. Every single visitor stops and asks what that stunning purple plant is. That is the power of catmint. Flower number 2, Coreopsis tickseed. Number 2 is Coreopsis, and if you do not have this in your garden already, we need to fix that immediately. This plant is a sunshine machine, literally. It produces these vivid golden yellow daisy-like flowers, from early summer all the way to the very first frost of fall. We are talking months and months of continuous color without you doing anything special at all. It thrives in full sun, handles drought better than almost any other perennial on this list, and it is completely deer-resistant. And here is the thing that makes gardeners go absolutely wild when they discover it. It is hardy in zones 3 all the way through 9. That is basically the entire continental United States from Minnesota to Florida. Do you know how rare that level of adaptability is? Most plants are picky about where they will grow. Coreopsis does not care. Plant it in poor soil, give it minimal water once it is established, and it will reward you with an ocean of yellow blooms every single summer without asking for anything in return. I have one variety called Moonbeam that has been blooming in the same exact spot for 4 years now. Every single July, I look out at my garden, and that plant is just glowing, like someone turned on a light that never shuts off. Flower number 3, Scabiosa, pincushion flower. Now here is one that most people completely overlook at the nursery, and that is honestly a crime. Scabiosa, also called the pincushion flower, and once you understand what this plant does, you are going to be shocked that it is not in every single American garden. It starts blooming in spring, and it does not stop until frost. That alone would be impressive, but here is the fact that genuinely blew my mind when I first learned it. A single mature Scabiosa plant can produce hundreds of individual blooms over one season. Not dozens, hundreds. It just keeps pumping out these delicate, beautiful lavender blue flowers on long, elegant stems, one after another, all season long. Butterflies land on them constantly. Hummingbirds love them. And the flowers make stunning cut flowers too, so you can bring that beauty right inside your home. If you want a plant that earns its space every single day from spring to fall, Scabiosa is one you absolutely cannot skip. Flower number 4, Blanket Flower Gaillardia. This next one looks like it was painted by fire. Blanket flower, or Gaillardia, produces incredible warm tones, deep reds, bright oranges, and bold yellows, in a pattern that honestly looks like something an artist designed by hand. And it blooms from early summer all the way until frost without stopping. Horticultural experts single out blanket flowers specifically when discussing perennials with exceptionally long bloom periods. That is not marketing language. That is from people who study plants professionally. And here is the part that surprises most gardeners. Blanket flower actually performs better in poor soil. If your garden has a rough spot that other plants seem to hate, plant blanket flowers there. It will not just survive, it will thrive. Hardy in zones 3 through 9, attracts pollinators all season, and it is one of the most visually striking plants you can put in a full sun garden. That blazing color combined with that extraordinary bloom time makes blanket flowers one of the most underappreciated perennials in America. Flower number 5, Coral Bells, Heuchera. Now we are getting into something truly special. Coral Bells might be the most versatile perennial on this entire list. Every plant we have covered so far gives you flowers. Coral Bells give you flowers and some of the most dramatic foliage colors you have ever seen. In burgundy, deep purple, lime green, caramel, and bronze. And that foliage looks incredible every single month of the year, even when nothing else is blooming. So, even in late fall, when everything else has gone quiet, your coral bells are still sitting there, looking like a jewel in your garden. Add in the delicate flower spikes in spring and summer. Add in the fact that it works in full sun or full shade, and you start to realize this plant is in a category completely of its own. I have coral bells growing under a tree where nothing else would survive, and it is one of the most commented on plants in my entire garden. People genuinely cannot believe that something beautiful grows in deep shade, and it comes back every year, bigger and more stunning than before. Quick question before we keep going, and I genuinely want to know this. Out of the 5 plants we have covered so far, which one do you already have growing in your garden right now? Drop it in the comments below. Just the name or even a number is fine. I read every single comment on this channel, and I would love to know what is thriving in your yard right now. All right. We are about to get into the ones that are really going to surprise you. Flower number 6, Black-Eyed Susan, Rudbeckia. If there is one plant that represents the American garden, it might be this one. Black-Eyed Susan is native to North America. It is hardy in most of the United States and Canada, and it has been making gardeners smile for generations. But here is what most people do not know. It keeps getting better. Plant breeders developed a newer variety called Early Bird Gold, and this single cultivar blooms from June all the way through October. That is nearly 5 full months of those cheerful golden yellow flowers with dark centers that pollinators absolutely go crazy for. 5 months. Just let that sink in for a second. And once it is established, it handles drought without flinching. It self-seeds to fill in bare spots for free, and it combines beautifully with almost any other plant in your garden. This is one of those plants that looks wild and natural but also intentional and designed at the same time. Every time I walk past mine in late summer, with butterflies landing on every single flower, I am reminded of exactly why I started gardening in the first place. There is real magic in a plant that has been part of this landscape forever and still makes you stop and smile every single time. Flower number 7, Hardy Geranium Roseanne. This one has an award, an actual international award from the Royal Horticultural Society. And when you see what it does in a garden, you will completely understand why. Hardy Geranium Roseanne produces gorgeous violet-blue flowers starting in late spring. And here is what sets it apart from every other geranium you have ever seen. It does not stop. Most perennials bloom for a few weeks and then go quiet. Roseanne blooms from late June and just keeps going all the way until the very first frost cuts it down. Gardeners who grow it describe it as a cornerstone plant, something they could not imagine their garden without. It spreads into lush mounds that cover bare ground, suppresses weeds naturally, and works in containers, hanging baskets, borders, and rock gardens. Deer will not touch it. Rabbits avoid it. It handles heat and drought once established. And that clear violet-blue color works with literally everything else in your garden. Warm tones, cool tones, it does not matter. Roseanne just makes everything around it look better. Flower number 8, yellow corydalis. All right. This is the one I call hidden gold, yellow corydalis. I genuinely cannot understand why this plant is not in every garden in America, because what it does is almost unfair. It starts blooming in early spring, earlier than almost anything else on this list. And then it keeps going, all the way through summer, all the way through fall, right up until frost. This plant can bloom for 8 or 9 months out of the year in the right conditions. 8 or 9 months. The flowers are bright, cheerful yellow on lacy fern-like foliage, and the whole plant looks like something out of a fairy tale garden. It self-seeds gently around its original spot, filling in gaps naturally year after year with zero effort from you. And because so few people grow it, every single visitor to your garden is going to stop and ask what that incredible plant is. You will be the gardener in your neighborhood who grows something nobody else has. It has been in my garden for 3 years. 3 years. And it has never once disappointed me. Flower number 9. Knockout rose. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Roses are high maintenance. Roses are fussy. Roses get diseases and need constant spraying and all kinds of complicated care. And you are absolutely right about most roses. But knockout rose is not most roses. Knockout completely changed what roses could be. It blooms from spring all the way through frost. Nearly non-stop in some of the most beautiful colors you have ever seen on a flowering shrub. Crimson red, hot pink, soft yellow, coral, and it is disease-resistant in a way that older roses simply are not. You do not need to spray it. You do not need to coddle it. You plant it once, and it rewards you year after year after year. Hardy in zones 5 through 11. From New England down to the Gulf Coast or out to California, this rose will perform for you. I have 2 of them flanking my front gate, and they have been blooming faithfully every season since I planted them. My neighbors genuinely think I hire someone to tend to them. I do not. I planted them once and walked away. We are past the halfway mark now, and things are only going to get more interesting from here. If this video is giving you ideas for your garden, and I really hope it is, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners, just like you who need this information. And subscribe if you have not yet, because next week I am dropping the complete planting guide for every single plant on this list, with exact spacing, soil prep tips, and the companion planting combinations that will make your garden look professionally designed. You do not want to miss that one. Okay, let us keep going. Flower number 10, endless summer hydrangea. Okay, number 10 is the one that makes people's brains short-circuit a little when they first discover what it can do. Endless summer hydrangea. Most hydrangeas bloom for a few weeks in early summer, and that is it. Done. Finished. You wait an entire year for a few weeks of flowers. Endless summer completely rewrites that story. This hydrangea blooms on both old and new growth, which means buds form in spring and in fall, giving you flowers that start in early summer and can last all the way until Thanksgiving. When other hydrangeas are long done, endless summer is still going. But here is the fact that absolutely blows people away. You can change the color of the flowers by adjusting your soil pH. Add sulfur to make the soil more acidic, and you get beautiful blue flowers. Raise the pH and those same flowers turn pink, the same plant, 2 completely different looks, depending on exactly what you feel like. It is hardy in zones 4 through 9, thrives in sun and partial shade, and the blooms are enormous and absolutely spectacular. I planted mine 3 years ago, and it has not stopped performing since. Flower number 11, agastache, hyssop. If you want hummingbirds visiting your garden every single day from summer through fall, this is the plant that makes it happen. Agastache, also known as hyssop, produces tall, dramatic spikes of purple and orange flowers that hummingbirds and butterflies simply cannot resist. The best modern varieties give you 3 times the blooming power of ordinary perennials. 3 times. This is not a plant that shows up for a few weeks and calls it done. Agastache blooms from summer all the way through frost, handles drought and heat better than most perennials, and deer will absolutely not touch it. Once established, it is one of the most hands-off plants in my entire garden. Full sun, occasional water during dry spells, and it rewards me with months of those stunning vertical flower spikes that add real height and drama to any garden bed. Hardy in zones 5 through 10, it fills that critical mid to late season gap when earlier bloomers are starting to wind down. If you are building a hummingbird garden, Agastock is simply non-negotiable. Flower number 12, Echinacea, purple coneflower. This plant has been growing in North America for thousands of years. Native Americans used it medicinally for centuries before European settlers ever arrived on this continent. And today, Echinacea, the purple coneflower, is one of the most beloved perennials in American gardens, and for very good reason. It blooms from summer through fall, with those distinctive daisy-like flowers in purple, orange, yellow, and white, depending on the variety. Monarch butterflies specifically seek it out. Goldfinches eat the seed heads in late fall. Because it is a true native plant, it is incredibly adapted to conditions found across most of the United States. No babying needed, no special soil, no perfect conditions required. You plant it, it establishes, and it comes back stronger year after year. Mine have spread slowly and naturally to fill in bare gaps, giving me free new plants without any effort at all. There is something deeply satisfying about growing a plant with this kind of history. Something that has been part of this landscape for thousands of years and is still thriving right here in your backyard. Flower number 13, Cape Fuchsia, Phygelius. This is the one I call the best-kept secret on this entire list. Cape Fuchsia. I guarantee most of you have never grown this plant and might not even have heard of it. And that is honestly baffling to me, because what it does in a garden is absolutely stunning. From late spring, right through summer, right through fall, all the way until the very first frost. Cape Fuchsia blooms and blooms and blooms without stopping. Continuous color for the entire growing season. The flowers are gorgeous tubular shapes in shades of coral, salmon, and red. And hummingbirds go absolutely wild for them. I am talking about hummingbirds hovering at those flowers like it is the finest restaurant in town. Hardy in zones 7 through 9, which makes it perfect for the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Pacific coast. And because so few gardeners grow it, you are going to have something in your yard that looks completely unique and completely unlike anything your neighbors have ever seen. Do yourself a favor and find this plant this season. You will not regret it. Flower number 14, Salvia ornamental sage. Salvia is a workhorse. That is the only way I can describe it. It shows up, it performs, it does not complain, and it does not quit. From early summer, it puts out tall spikes of deep blue and purple flowers that pollinators absolutely swarm. Bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, all drawn to it like a magnet they cannot resist. And here is a trick that most gardeners do not know. Cut it back by about 1/3 after its first flush of blooms, and it pushes out a second flush, then a third. Some gardeners get blooms from June all the way to November using this one simple technique. June to November. That is nearly half the calendar year from a single plant. Drought tolerant once established, deer resistant, and hardy in zones 5 through 9. If I could only keep one plant from this entire list, and I genuinely struggled with this question, Salvia would be in my top 3 without any doubt. The combination of that incredible bloom time, the wildlife value, the absolute ease of care, and that dramatic deep blue color make it one of the most valuable perennials I have ever had the pleasure of growing. Flower number 15, Peony, the legend. And here we are. Number 1, the plant I promised you at the very beginning. The one with the most incredible story of any perennial on this entire list. The peony. I want you to really think about this for a moment. There are peonies growing in gardens across America right now that were planted 50 years ago. 50 years. And they are still blooming faithfully every single spring without anyone doing a thing except walking outside and being absolutely amazed. Some peonies have been documented living for over 100 years. 100 years. The person who planted them is long gone. Their grandchildren might have grandchildren of their own. And that peony is still there, still blooming, still spectacular every single spring like it was the very first time. If you plant early, mid, and late season varieties together, your peony season can stretch for up to 6 full weeks of these enormous, breathtaking, incredibly fragrant flowers that honestly look like they belong on a wedding altar, completely carefree once established, hardy in zones 3 through 8, deer-proof. They simply will not touch it. No dividing needed every few years, like most other perennials require. You plant them once, following one simple rule, never deeper than 2 inches, and then you do nothing. You just enjoy them. Every single spring for the rest of your life, and maybe life after that too. Before I let you go, I want to give you something extra. Something no other garden video is going to tell you today, because knowing which plants bloom longest is powerful on its own. but knowing how to combine them so your garden has non-stop color from spring all the way to the first frost. That is the real next level. Here are 3 combinations I personally use and stand behind completely. First, the spring to frost trio. Plant Catmint, Coreopsis, and Black-Eyed Susan together in one bed. Catmint starts blooming in May, Coreopsis picks up in early summer, and Black-Eyed Susan carries you all the way through October. Zero gaps, non-stop color the entire season. Second, the hummingbird heaven. Plant Agastache, Cape Fuchsia, and Salvia together, and I promise you will have hummingbirds visiting your garden every single day from summer all the way through fall. This combination is magical. Third, the no-maintenance powerhouse. Knockout Rose, Endless Summer Hydrangea, and Coral Bells. Stunning color, works in almost any zone, and requires almost no attention once established. Plant it once and enjoy it for years. That is the 15 longest blooming perennials I have ever grown. All planted once. All still get strong 3 years later. If this video opened your eyes to something new, I want to know. Drop your favorite from the list in the comments right now. Or tell me which one are you planting this season. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from this community. If this video gave you value, please share it with one gardening friend. One share means the world to a growing channel like Rooted Harvest. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button right now and join the Rooted Harvest community. Every week we grow smarter together. I will see you in the next video.